Hello, I'm George Akel. Welcome back to the GOVERNHR YouTube channel. Today we're going to be looking at pre-employment screening. Now, pre-employment screening has been part of the hiring process for quite a long time now. And in recent times we've seen more and more focus from regulators on the employment screening process within an organisation. Through my experience over time, when looking at regulatory reviews, be it by Reserve Bank reviews, monetary authority reviews, etc. There is a tremendous focus on the screening process, and that is to ensure that the organisation has got the appropriate risk mitigation strategy there, ensuring that only the right people are able to come into the organisation. Now, the pre-employment screening process is only part of that screening, of that mitigating strategy that you've got. You also have the frontline interviewers, you've got the recruitment agency that's going through the recruitment process, you've got the line manager, and you've got market intel as well that you have already developed. So once the employment screening process has been initiated, it's important to identify any of the red flags that come through, or the amber flags that may come through. So let me take a step back there and go through the initial setup. The initial setup is critical, and when I say initial setup, that is the initial setup with your specific screening provider. It's very important that you set the agreed key performance indicators up in advance. You ensure that what is important to you is clearly understood by the vendor, what risks you are prepared to accept and what risks you're not prepared to accept. You need to determine a clear timeline for a screening process. Now, in my experience, again, from time to time, looking at screening vendors, we've got some amazing screening vendors, particularly out here in Asia Pacific. A lot of them are incredibly professional and will manage expectations completely. But you need to determine the fine line there, the balance that you want to accept between speed and accuracy and completeness of a screening report. Now, sometimes if someone feels that your organisation is really looking for speed, they'll overpromise, and that is only going to lead to tears because they will significantly underdeliver on the speed of it. Come up with a happy medium, come up with something that's acceptable, that's not going to hinder your recruitment process, that's not going to put you at a competitive disadvantage when you're competing out there in the market for talent, but at the same time is going to provide you the robust screening process that's going to protect you, your organisation and your shareholders. Remember, it only takes one bad hire to damage your brand, and we've only seen through all the press over the last 10 years or so since the global financial crisis. A lot of brands out there have been hammered terribly, and you also have significant impact on shareholders because of the share price, and you also have a significant impact on your relationship with third-party regulators out there, because once bitten, twice shy, they will really look at you very differently. So it's important to get it right. Nothing is foolproof, we know that, and the other aspect is you may hire an absolute clean skin that may turn rogue once they're within your organisation. So you need to continue the review process internally, continue managing people internally. So some people look at the employment screening process as a one-stop shop. That's it. We've hired Billy Bloggs. Billy Bloggs is clean skin. Let's bring them on. Happy days. Everything's going smoothly. That's not necessarily the case. You need to have your own internal management processes to monitor employee behaviour and employee performance. Now, going back to the employment screening process, once you've determined what are the key performance indicators, the KPIs that you've agreed upon with the vendor. You should establish regular review processes where you can receive reports on the speed and the accuracy of the screening process, and manage that and measure that against the KPIs. Now, it's important that you have adequate resources from your side, people at the coalface dealing with the screening vendor, who are part of that review process, so that you can address any issues there and then. Now, any relationship that you have, it's important to understand that while someone else is doing the work for you, you still maintain the responsibility for getting things right and for managing from your company's perspective. Therefore, when you're looking at the results from the screening vendor, or any vendor for that matter, you always need to apply your own lens to it. You always need to talk to the people who are dealing with that on a day-to-day basis to ensure that what you're seeing from the vendor is reflected in reality on the ground with your people. That's very, very important. One of the other aspects that you need to look at on a regular basis is the escalation process. Okay, so it's all right, you'll tell management, you'll tell regulators that you've got a screening process, all things are great and well, but it's useless unless you are managing it, unless you're monitoring it. So, for example, you need to be absolutely sure that what is an amber result for you is an amber result for the vendor. What's a red result for you is a red result for an amber for the vendor. And what is a green, what's a pass, is acceptable for both parties. You don't want the vendor's interpretation to be different from your own, because that is only going to lead to conflict, and it's going to lead to adverse situations occurring down the track. So the other one is to look at the escalation matrix internally. Who is approving? Who is signing off? So you're hiring people, screening reports are coming through. Who within your organization is signing off on these? Who's accepting the risk? Who's signing off and saying, okay, we've got an amber report for Johnny James or Mary Bloggs, and we are satisfied that it's insignificant and we can live with it, move on, right? There needs to be clear roles and responsibilities around that, and there needs to be appropriate checklists in place where senior management and the line manager are aware of what we're accepting, because you can bet your life on it that when an individual down the track behaves badly or goes rogue, the first thing people are going to look at is that original screening report. And if there's anything at all in that screening report that's adverse and has been approved internally, it's going to come back to bite you. So screening is an area that we've looked at over many, many years, in actual fact 15, 16 years now. So we've had experience in selecting screening vendors, reviewing screening vendors, reviewing screening processes, implementing escalation structures within an organization, and ensuring that it meets all the requirements, both for external regulators and your internal regulatory arm, that is your group audit, your compliance, and your legal and your management. So once again, please leave us a message, leave us a request for any further information that you may have for this. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, look at our website, the link is in the description below, and once again, if you've enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please click like. Thank you very much. We look forward to speaking to you again, and have a good week.